Hey, what's going on, YouTube? Or Storm here. We're going to be doing a live podcast today. So today I have two of my buddies from the other Discord. I have Corbin, DarkRebellionSun, and GrandLamb joining me today. Say hello to everybody.
What's up?
Hello.
Hello.
Just like hi. So, anyways,
Be
we're gonna
excited.
yeah. Anyways, so we're gonna briefly be going over the ban list. We're not gonna spend too much time on it because I did already go over it already. But we're gonna have some kind of more fun topics where we discuss like funny experiences like with saltiness and other stories from regionals and whatnot. We'll probably I don't think Sun has not been to a regional scrub, but well,
Why, thank you for telling me that I'm a scrub.
yeah, but we're gonna be going over that, and then we're gonna be endless, and then we'll probably be like talking some experiences while I'm playing some bad deck on Dueling Book. So, anyway, so we're gonna be going over the ban list. So I want to clarify this before we get started. This is not an emergency ban list because when Konami changed the ban list dates, they said something along the lines of we want to have freedom to do a ban list when we need it, right? So this is not an emergency ban list. I don't care what anyone says. This is just an update, and it doesn't take effect till June 12th. That's important to remember. So anyway, so the only banned card is Elder Entity Norden. Pretty much a far time coming. I honestly don't see why. What do you guys think about Norden being banned?
It's about time.
About I think that's about every.
Finally.
Finally.
2 years of that. It's
Yeah,
ridiculous.
like when the card was released, it wasn't like the card was like fine for a while, but it was always something that was hanging around that people would put instant fusions in deck it didn't necessarily belong in. I remember when I rebuilt my Herald deck originally, I think for the regional list, I was only playing one instant fusion. But then I did some thinking and I was like, well, Norden is a fairy monster. You can make Fairy Cheer Girl with it. You can shuffle it back with a ritual spell. There's even at one, there's just some bonker things you can do with it, and I think if we've all any of I don't know about you guys, but I've had to play against the Zoo draw combo, and there's literally no physical way to counter that board. I mean, even if I open the perfect hand like with DDDs, I cannot break their boards, and they break my boards so easily. I feel like that whole combo is obnoxiously stupid, and I'm kind of glad to see Norden gone. But I'm gonna miss it in Herald and like Dynamis and some of my other rogue decks. But it's definitely a change that's coming, and I'm kind of glad they hit Norden, not Instant Fusion, because as good as Instant Fusion is, it's not. Norden is the more broken of the two cards because with Instant Fusion, usually you're just using it to climb into something else, not to start your whole combos and your whole string of plays. At least that's how I kind of feel about Norden. I still see Construct ban. That makes me sad. and
Why? It's 2017.
Construct would do like Construct is like there's a lot of cards that are on that are banned that I think if they came to one would do nothing. And I think but we know how I feel out. I fill out a lot of cards. I feel out about like Tribe. I feel out about Exciton, Laval Chain, etc. There's a lot of cards I feel like they could just come off the ban list and would do nothing.
I mean, they eroded like 8 cards that were and
They haven't. I mean, Imperial Order is still Imperial Order, but I remember I play it in I main deck it in DDDs, and like there's times where it's really good, but the life point payment over time can really add up. If you're getting into a grind game, like unless you have some kind of board that allows you to push, it can really bite you in the butt a lot of times. But overall, I feel like I don't think they should rat at every card, but I feel like there's a lot of these cards you can just come off the list, no problem. But anyway, we're getting to the limited section. So Terror Top going to one. I know I'm kind of
I
back.
feel like this was something that should have been hit a while ago, but now it's kind of in my opinion.
Yeah.
There's a lot of rank 3 engines now.
I have mixed feelings because yes, it's the rank 3, but some of the rank 3s, like specifically Invoker, are more of a problem than the rank 3 engines around them. I feel. This is me.
Yeah, I mean, I played Terror Top in my Metal Foe list two regionals ago, and it was one of the best cards in my deck all day because being able to make Grand Pulse and being able to pop your own combination to unbrick your hand, being able to make Brick Sword to clear fields, being able to make Totem Bird along with an Alcahest was just really good. And I remember one of the plays I made was like I summoned my Terror Top and then I I think he had an Omega out, and he striked it, and then I shuffled back the Takaton with Omega, and then I summoned a second Terror Top. Like, the card was just obnoxiously good, and I still feel like banning Invoker was the right move, but I also think that Konami still wants their, Predaplants and other engines to run around a little bit longer. And the thing about the Predaplant engine is it's really good, but the problem is if your Orpha Scorpio gets Ghost Dashed, you're going to have a lot of problems because
It's pretty.
your basically whole turn is going to be over because you've used your normal summon. Like, even in Zoo, like, unless you have a Barrage, your whole turn is over. You're not going to be able to get to that Invoker very easily. And I think that, like, plus you're also having to play a Garnet with Cobra. So Terror Top being limited, like, I feel like Invoker was the problem, but it's definitely a card that I feel like should have been hit a long time ago, to be completely honest. And I still see Tour Guide sitting there lonely at 1. The next card, this is probably the one that I feel like is the most questionable of the whole list, which is that grass looks greener going to 1.
I've been seeing people try to rationalize kind of a counterbalance. That way 60 card craziness doesn't get out of hand, but it wasn't that prevalent, was it?
I mean, I can say that at my February regional playing DDDs, well, Zoo, my matchups, like 5 out of my 9 rounds were Zoo, or like 5 out of my, because I think I played 8 rounds, because but like the other matchups, since Grass came out, I have not played against a Grass deck. Between 2 different locals trips, between like 3 different locals trips, since the card came out, between like regionals, that's literally like 20, 30 games that I've never came across a Grass deck. So I just don't think it was really that prevalent. But I understand why it's going to 1. I think it's a card that definitely cannot be at 3 going into Link format because those decks are going. And I also think that the card encourages what I would call bad deck building. I'm not saying 60 card decks are bad. I'm saying that playing left arm offering just to search that is kind of obnoxious. And I also feel like Ash Blossom puts the card in check a little bit, so they could have kept it or running around, but I think it's kind of like a necessary thing. I feel like, eventually it was going to go to 1 no matter what, so I think it's a preemptive hit on Konami's part, but there's not a lot of rationality behind it, if I'm completely honest. And the changes that I'm very excited about, but it's obvious like why Konami's doing it, are the Pendulum Magicians have basically been completely freed from the ban list. Joker has been put from 1 to 3, which I didn't actually think that would ever happen. We got a 3rd Wisdom Eye, which is kind of something I expected, but another thing we got is the 3rd Pendulum callback.
It was limited, man.
Yeah. we got the second and third. We got 3 Pendulum call. My bad. But the Wisdom, I feel like these changes don't they make the deck better, but they don't make it 100 times better. Like, they're amazing cards to get back, but they don't drastically change the deck's consistency because of the cards it's already got. And I don't know, what do you guys think?
If you want, you can go first, Corbin.
I mean, it'll change the deck a little bit because having when you're the upcoming Pendulum Graphs, the consistency is real.
Yeah,
but I don't think it'll be enough.
If you've ever opened that 3-card combo, which is you open any Pendulum Scale, you open a way to pop your Pendulum Scale plus a Pendulum Graph plus an Astrograph in hand, you just generate so much ridiculous advantage that it puts your opponent, it gets a +3 off of the 3. You basically recover every single resource off a 3-card combo, and it's insane the amount of cards you can generate just off of a pretty small combo. It's not like the decks. I've always liked the deck because it's very combo oriented, but it's not something like True King Dinos where it's all 2-card combos. It's a lot of 3-card combos. But we all know why Konami's doing this. They're trying to push the Pendulum Evolution set. I've just never seen them do this on such a drastic scale. I mean, we saw them pump Reasoning up to 3 to push Infernoids and bump Rhoda up to help push Noble Knights, but I've never seen them pull 3 cards off a list just to support one deck.
Especially 2 of which were heavily limited. And recently for that.
Yeah.
Because Pendulum Call wasn't that long ago. It's been, 6 months?
Hasn't been that long. It was post Clash. If I'm not mistaken. It wasn't last year. It was, I believe, the year before. It was 20. Was it 20? It was 2016, I think, or it was 2015 because it was Clash format. If I'm not mistaken.
I think it was the last. No, I think it was the last list.
Yeah, it was the list we got right
16.
after Dimension of Chaos, or it was no, it was the list we got Kieran Limited on. You're right. It was last year. It doesn't feel like it's been that long.
Because it came out in the deck with Wisdom Eye.
Yeah, well, Wisdom Eye was. I feel like with Pelham Call and Wisdom Eye, they were both limited, like unnecessarily. Wisdom Eye was only hit because they didn't want Pepe running around, because everyone would have just replaced the Draco engine with the Magician engine, and they didn't want that running around at full power. They wanted to just make sure that deck wasn't quite as running around with quite much consistency. Pelham Call being limited, I never really understood why they limited it in the first place, but it's going to be interesting to see how much these cards help the deck. But overall, I feel like this is a band-aid and not just. I feel like this is sort of like putting a slight band-aid on the problem, because while Zoo's bear in mind this ban list does not go into effect for a whole nother month. So it doesn't go into effect till June 12th, which means if you're playing in Europe, you still will be playing under the Zoo engine list. But if you're playing in the American Nationals, you're going to be able to play this Magician deck pretty much at full power because it comes out 2 weeks before Nationals. So it's going to be Nationals format will be very interesting, but I'm not going to call anything out yet. But we could have a very interesting format going forward.
If Zark takes Nationals, I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm going to do something.
Yeah,
because that is a dream.
I'm excited to see what I feel like it's one of those things where the format Zoo is still Zoo, and there's still tons of cards that slow down pendulums. Although pendulum call does stop a lot of the destruction removal and stuff like that. But Dimensional Barrier and Strike are still at 3. So if there's anything I would have done if I were Konami, I probably would have limited Solemn Strike. But overall, I'm not too disappointed. I feel like these are changes that needed to happen anyways as far as the hits. And I'm thrilled that Magicians are going to be fully off the list. And the deck, you can pretty much run around with the deck at full power. But kind of
before Lynx kill them.
Or Lynx. Well, funny you should say that. I've actually been testing Magicians and our Lynx on Duel Link Book earlier today, and I've had 3 raids.
Are they all right?
Already. But anyway, we'll go on to the second topic, which is funny stories from we'll probably have 2 stories each, and we'll go over this. Stories from regionals and online. So we actually had 2. One story I think I had. I'm trying to think of a regional story. I'm trying to think of one off the top of my head because I have some funny stories. I still remember the funny. I remember from my last regional, the funniest moment was I think I was playing round 1 and I was shuffled my deck and I was playing DDDs. And I think I won the die roll, went first. And the funny thing was I was playing against. I was like Zoo. I was like, oh god, here's Zoo. And game 1, I just had Potted Desires, and I drew and all the draw cards. So I opened Potted Desires and Vanities, so it was Scoot Phase. And then game 2, I knew Storming Mirror Force was. Oh, here's Zoo. Speaking of Zoo, I knew Storming Mirror Force was very popular. So when I summoned my Oracle, I summoned it in defense mode, and he flips the Storming, and I start getting a free Kepler search out of it. It was pretty fun. I ended up 2-0ing him game 1. But Corbin, you have a funny online story?
Yeah, back in my early days of getting back into the game, I've only been back for a couple of years now. I was playing with a terrible pre-Monarch structure deck, Monarch deck, and suddenly I came upon this guy who found a glitch with the anime version of Divine Serpent Ge. And he comboed out somehow, I don't remember, to give himself infinite life.
What? That's crazy.
And no, it was funny as hell because I was just sitting there chipping away at him, and I decked out, and he still had 300 million life. I was like, what?
That's crazy.
It was so nuts.
I still remember playing against Voink's Arrow Mages, and I still remember like one of the games he resolved Jasmine 3 times in a turn. I was
Oh,
drawing
no.
3 in the video I posted. I was like, drawing 3 must be nice. So it was ridiculous. But what about you, Lamb? I'm sure you have a funny story.
Okay, so it's not about regionals, but it's about ARG. If you guys are familiar with them.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, on the trip to Hartford where I was playing DDDs, me and my team were talking about like how fast it would take for someone to get into an argument or a fight. So flash forward to round 1, and before after rounds are paired, everyone sits down, everyone starts like talking to their opponents for a little before they announce like the start. We hear like, you can't say that word, you can't do anything like that, blah blah blah. Like you see someone standing up in front of everyone. This light skinned guy from PBG, he's just yelling at his opponent or someone across from him saying like, you can't say that word. It's like apparently the guy said, it was a white man saying like nigga to his opponent, what's up nigga? And like the guy apparently heard it from all the way over there and started yelling at him. Weird to me.
Oh my god.
Like, I'm not going to lie. That is like, if you're in Corbin's Discord with me, you know that word I don't. Everyone knows it's not like. I feel like words have meaning, but at the same time, like, people just need to chill the fuck out. We're often than honest.
Yeah, it's just like my stance on that is just like, care a little bit about what you say, but don't censor yourself too hard for the sake of anybody.
Right, I would agree with that. Story from Dueling Book. I've got a ton of different from the DN days, but I still think the funniest one is I remember, I think, in my back when DN was running around, I used to like one of my favorite, Nicholas or one of the other mods would always be like, why you do that? I would hop on Dueling Book and just like troll people with stupid rule sets. Like, this guy had like, I don't know, I don't remember the rules, something stupid. It was like don't be dumb or whatever. And so I joined his game and like, know what you're doing. So I'm playing Black Wings because he wanted a 5D Zera deck. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna play Black Wings. And he says, and I beat him pretty soundly, but so after the game, he like messages me and is really salty, and he says, it's like, hey, know how to play your deck. And the way I initially responded like, dude, just chill. So he starts like insulting me and stuff. So when someone starts insulting me, I start trolling them, and I'm like, I don't play bad decks like Fortune Ladies, and that just sets him off.
Oh my god.
I know, it's horrible. It's like I don't play bad decks like Fortune Ladies or bad cards like Future Visions. So it was like one of the worst things I could have probably said, but I did. And anyway, so like the whole argument ends with him like, or he starts saying like, you should die, go to outer space and die of 0 oxygen. I'm just like, why?
What?
I'm not even kidding. Like, I have the whole like conversation still screen cap because it was so fucking hilarious. Like,
that's a little out of left field.
I know. I was like, what the fuck is wrong with this guy?
Go into outer space and die of no oxygen.
Like, what?
Wow.
No,
That's next level, actually.
I was like, what? I was like, what the fuck? And so
he really wanted you to fucking die.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't do anything. Like, I mean, my theory is when someone starts insulting me like that and like cussing at me or whatever, my filters go away and I start trolling them and see how far I can get them to go. And it was pretty hilarious. But anyway,
yeah, it went to space where you apparently died.
Yes, apparently. I don't know. It just doesn't, like, it was the weirdest.
Holy shit.
I've never like I've had like the hipster like I playing some zombie deck and the guy's like, no, it's an archetype, type nonsense. But it wasn't too, like, this guy took it to like a whole nother level. You have a story, Corbin?
I actually have a story from locals because I do like to go there. I love to go to locals. It was back when my friend David was still playing before life got weird on him. and he was playing Atlanteans after Neptibus dropped.
Oh, damn.
So it was one of my first few times at locals. And I misplayed a dark hole on a pretty good field of mine just because I got scared. He killed me with Neptibus by swinging in.
Ow. No, I
For
have a
800.
funny. Oh, I just remembered another funny one from regional experience. I think this was last regional actually, the one back in February. I think my opponent hadn't shown up, and oh, Phantom's online. Maybe I can get him to join. Yay. Okay. Forgot how to add friends. Add. There we go.
Yay! I like his icon.
But anyway, I remember it was Cyframes versus Cubics was the matchup, and they were getting into like a real grind game. So I remember the Cyframe player like summons Maxi, right, and pokes for 500. This was when Maxi was back at 2, and then the Cubic player summons Maxi and crashes. The guys were in the middle of the match. I was like, I stopped it. I just asked him nicely. He's like, can I please take a picture of this? Because it was beautiful. It was wonderful.
What?
Crashing a Maxi into a Maxi.
That's fantastic.
That was It was the funniest thing I've seen. But anyway, what about you, Lamb?
This happened recently, actually. I was playing on YGO Pro trying to get some footage for Fright Fairs, or that Fluffle video I posted a little days ago. And, like, actually, I'll link it too in case you guys even want to watch it. But, like,
it'll be in the description box, bro. Just put it in the chat. Right. Don't worry.
This man drew the definition of the most perfect hand possible. And, like, I didn't know what to say afterwards because I just got styled on. This man was playing Zoo. I'm like, wow, typical Zoo shenanigans. Okay, sure. And then, like, he used United We Stand. He somehow drew in the 3 of them, attached them all to this kaiju he gave me, and then used this card called Leeching the Light with a full board.
Hold on, I don't know that card. I do not know that card.
It's a spell card which basically you target one light monster on the field, all of your monsters gain the attack of that light monster.
That's fucking hilarious.
So all the Zoo cards are like at 12,000 attacks, like that, or at 1200,000. So it was just crazy, like complete overkill. Like, wow, this is actually kind of creative. But I think honestly, it was just the perfect hand he awesome could have got.
That is so cool.
But yeah, the replay is right there in the comment section if you want.
Alrighty, we'll probably add a description box so everyone watch. I'm trying to remember story from YGO Pro. Oh yeah, I've been trying to farm replays for like the Dynamist Performa Pal deck profile, like the deck I've been working on. Like I've been playing the deck for a while, so it kind of like I've finally found like a setup and a ratio I really like, but the deck's still a little inconsistent. But it's about as far as it's like a little bit different than standard Dynamist. It's pretty combo oriented, but it's really fun. And I'm playing on Gravekeepers today, so like when I see like card demise, like I just got so mad and I posted in the chat. I'm just like, it's this type of stun bullshit is why I don't like Yu-Gi-Oh. And I was so annoyed because like I hate playing against stun decks in general, and so I was playing against. That's one of the things that really bugged me. I was playing against stun deck, and he resolved 3. I kept up for a while. I resolved 3 card demise. He resolved card demise like 3 times on me, but it was pretty nuts. And I don't think I've ever gotten. I don't really get salty very often, but I think I did in that instance. You have any other funny I'm trying to think of a story from locals. Oh yeah, I remember this one was fun. So I'm playing. I think what was his name? I remember his name off the top of my head, but His name was Jaime. He's like one of the best players at our locals. And I remember I was playing Pendulum Magicians at the time back when I think it was when Wisdom I was at 1 and it was a full power. Good Corbin, where'd you go? God damn it.
Play DC.
He'll be back in a moment. But anyway, the main thing was that I ended up drawing my hand. I'm like, God, this hand. We're both like, look at our hands. Like, this hand is ass. My hand is like Zephyros, Pendulum Call, and like 3 other cards. Like, I don't even remember what the rest of them were. And like, he's playing like Brilliant Mermails, and he sets Garnet passes. And I just like activate Pendulum Calls. Like, where are you completing? He screams it like extra loud, and he says, "You drew Pendulum Call, and you discarded Zephyros."
What is Brilliant Mermails?
It was like a bad build they played when they were playing Mermails back then.
Was this like when that Genic stuff was still here?
I don't remember what exactly the build was, but one of Jaime's favorite decks was Mermails from what I remember. So.
Speaking of Dynamis, you mentioned earlier, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you keep up with YCS?
Oh yeah, I did see the interesting. It's an interesting. I didn't see the I saw the list. I think it's interesting that Dynamist, what they have is the good thing about the deck is that first off it got the card that the deck got in what's the set called?
Maximum Crisis.
In Maximum Crisis, Howling is amazing because it's it fills your scales. It's not a hard once per turn, which means like if you have multiples, you can still bounce multiple cards. And on top of that, like if your opponent happens to try to blindly Twin Twister it, you can chain it in response. And because the Dynamist scales are continuous effects, they activate separate of the chain. So you can chain Dynamist Howling if they Twin Twister Cosmic Cyclone, then pop your scales to protect it. It's interesting that the deck is doing well. I do like the deck quite a bit, but I don't know whether it's quite good enough to be competitive. It's definitely my friend was saying he actually thinks Cardians are pretty decent right now. He had to explain it. He said Cardians are really good because if you can establish a 5 lights and a light shower on the board at the same time, Zodiacs can't really out it very effectively. Is the way he explained it.
Oh yeah, that's right. They can't. Oh yeah, I'm back now.
Okay, so we're actually talking about Cardians. Like Brad was actually saying that he thinks Cardians are pretty, or yeah, it's got to be a face-up card. Oops. But anyway, he was saying Cardians are actually pretty decent in this format because if you actually if you make 5 lights and light shower at the same time, most decks really can't deal with it.
Yeah, it's a rough board to get out of.
Well, like the thing is that like it depends on like how much the Kaiju variant is played. But even if you do like Kaiju the 5 lights, like light shower is still a card that Zoo can't really out effectively because all of their removal targets, and they've pretty much cut Utopia the Lightning from their deck. So there's not a lot of efficient ways they really have to out it, if I'm completely honest. I don't know if I have the targets in extra deck for Odd Eyes Fusion. Oopsies. I need to put that.
Such is life.
Such is life.
Hello.
Hi.
But anyway, I'm trying to think of other fun stories from locals. Oh yeah, this one was from my last locals trip. I was playing DDDs again because I've been playing that deck for the past couple months, and I was playing against like every locals has this like what you would call the scrub, like the local scrub, right? And so what happens is he's playing like some weird pure paleo variant without frogs. You know what I'm thinking going in. So he goes, okay, so he sets all the stuff past his game 2. It's like, go ahead and open Denko because I have those. And so the first thing that happens, I go Swirl Slime into Genghis. He Dynamists. So I'm like, okay, guys, I have Thomas in hand and Swirl Slime's in the graveyard. So I'm like, Swirl Slime, effect, pop Ragnarok, and then I go into Kali Yuga and nuke everything. And he's like, I can't chain? What? It's like, and he just picks up his cards and scoops right there. It was And the worst thing is like he actually pulled an Ash Blossom in his sneak packs. So like I was just like, bruh, why does the scrub always pull the good stuff?
So do you like main DDDs right now?
Yeah, I do. I do. I do run them. I mean, I think that their problem with the deck is that like the other decks just set up like cards like VFD, cards like just Masterpiece are very difficult for the deck to deal with. It's not that it's bad. It's not a bad deck. It's just not as consistent as like the deck's when the deck is amazing when it gets its draw cards rolling. No deck can really beat it consistently when it opens the board and has on top of having traps and hand traps, but the deck cannot effectively go second. That's honestly the problem it has. I mean, if you're playing any kind of stun deck, Kali Yuga will put in work, but other than that, you really don't have a lot you can do against. What are you manning right now, Corbin?
Rage and Rebellion Turbo, as always.
Raging. Yeah, the funny thing is, like, I still play them in my Magician deck, not in this version, because this is, like, the Link version, but I do actually still play them, and they're good cards. Raging is, like, I haven't actually...
No.
The only instance I've actually, like, it's funny, when I made the deck a few months ago, before Pendulum Call was limited, I actually was able, I could have actually probably, the deck was pretty decent, but the problem was, it was just I actually had an instance where I was playing against Cosmos, and he had like a Dark Destroyer and some other stuff on the field, and I could have summoned Rebellion Dragon, but it wouldn't have done me much good because the way the board was established, it wouldn't have done me a lot of good, the way the board was looking, to be honest. Like, he had, like, that's the problem I always had with Rebellion Dragon, is that it's really good. But the problem I always had with it was that, like, when you get Rebellion off, it's amazing. But the problem is that, like, so many decks play high level
It's
monsters.
sequential, and you have to hit that sequence.
Yeah, you have to
That's
hit the
my
right
problem with
type
it.
of monsters, otherwise you're kind of fucked.
Yeah, it's just...
It's no bueno.
And Raging is almost always better.
Yeah, I still have Rebellion in my extra deck, because usually that's the one I yard off of. I yard Rebellion off of Odd Eyes Fusion usually.
Smart.
But what are you playing? What are you manning right now, Lamb, on Wagyu Pro or whatever?
I mean, my main deck is DDs for a while now. I love the deck forever. And Links, I actually kind of like them in Links too, because I've been learning new combos like every day.
Well, it's like they can survive in Links. Have quite as strong a deck.
Yeah, I mean, I've been testing, like, I literally, like, copy pasted my current build that I'm playing with Ghost and everything. Like, I just put in a couple of executives.
Mm-hmm.
And it flows perfect. It flows exactly like the deck. Like, well, the main thing is the person I was playing against the guy I was playing against had just all he did was open one zone for me with Decode Talker, and I think my board ended. I was still able to end Harbinger Crystal Wing just with 2 open zones. Like, so it flows pretty well for a deck that's been gotten so many hits.
I'm a real big fan of the number 42 combo that Reddit, I think, showed me. The one where you open Swirl Slime plus any level 7 DD monster, and you end with, like, any 2 free extra deck zones.
Yeah, I haven't actually tested. Like, a lot of people... I'm having to explain what Pendulum monsters are monsters when they're destroyed right now. Okay, but anyway,
Wow.
Like, with DDDs, like, probably, like, I actually had to, like, I feel like when I was doing the video profile for them, I had a separate screen behind me with a deck profile with, like, the combos on it, because I can't for the life of me remember the whole draw 4 Hyper Librarian combo that I always advocate for the deck. But I actually really like the deck because, like, I've always wanted a deck that could Synchro Exceeds and Fusion Summon and do them all. And do it all at the same time.
Yeah, I feel kind of bad for Odd Eyes because they just can't do it seamlessly.
Yeah,
They can do it all, but they can't do it seamlessly.
Yeah, they
That
can.
new card, Auto Synchron, Perform Power, however you do it, the one that's just 3 archetypes together.
Oh yeah, Perform Pal, Odd Eyes, Synchron.
That card is going places. I can feel it.
Oh yeah, definitely. It just has too much support to not.
I like Dissolver. I like Dissolver actually, but the problem I have with it is why does Konami keep giving us level 8 monsters?
Yeah.
And it drives me nuts. They keep giving our archetype level 8 monsters
when it's a level 7 matters archetype.
Right.
At least you got that shitty skill 12.
I swear, like, I understand why they do it, but like every scale they've given us that's above 8 in general is always been kind of crappy. Like every scale every monster high scale they've given us above 8, like think about it. You think Cleafort Scout restrictions, Sky Magician restrictions, the big gate restrictions, the scale 9 Abyss Actor has a restriction on it. Anything, and if you look at it, like any card that creates scale above 8 has some silly restriction on it. But Dissolver is not a bad card. I'm glad we're actually getting it. I didn't think we would, if I'm completely honest, but it's an interesting card and I really like it. You can actually make rank 8s with it, which is kind of cute. You can overlay like an Ignister and Dissolver for a Titanic Galaxy. And with Lynx, you kind of have a little bit more extra deck space to play with. Like, the weird thing about Magicians is that the extra deck, especially under Lynx, is not quite as packed as it used to be.
That sounds back-asswards.
It does, but like it's true. Like, the deck does not quite have as much... the deck has more extra deck space to play with than it used to, that's for sure. It's not to say it's like... That's not to say that I feel like it's like top tier shit or whatever, but it doesn't seem... still, the deck has more extra deck space to play with than it used to, essentially, is what I'm trying to say. Yep. Decode Talker hitting the board.
I do like some Decode Talker. Speaking of Decode Talker,
Lynx
that episode...
I guess we'll move on to Link summoning for a little bit, I guess. What do you... Lamb, how do you feel about Link summoning?
I actually really like it. I like the whole concept of zones. I just feel like it's missing something. Like, I kind of wish whatever the link markers were pointing at became extra deck zones, even if it was a spawn drop card zone. But I mean, that's a little pushing it.
Yeah, that's...
Also, the 2 zones in the middle, I wish you can move them or choose where you put them.
Yeah, I mean, I don't hate the mechanic. Like, I was pretty butthurt about it, I won't lie, but I think I don't mind it as much as, like, after doing some little bit of testing with it. I actually think it's pretty fun. But I like... It's like, the good of it is that where you place cards, now that matters. The bad part is that now a lot of decks are really going to struggle, if I'm completely honest. A lot of decks are really going to struggle. Like, if your deck can't effectively, like, climb from one card to like, if you think about a deck like Fluffles can pretty effectively play under the new rules because you can use Sabertooth to keep climbing into new monsters, right? So, but the problem with the problem that Pendulum, the problem that a lot of, like, if you think of a deck like Battling Boxers is a deck I love, and that deck is like completely unplayable under the new rules, like, because especially with the Ignite engine I used to play, it's like the deck is just not in a playable state at this point. And that's how I think a lot. Corbin, you've been a big fan of it. How do you feel about the whole mechanic as a whole?
I enjoy it a lot. I've done proxy testing with it just to see what decks I have would still be viable. And I've come to the conclusion that... How do I put this? Yes, some decks are going to die as collateral damage, like Ghost Tricks, like Battling Boxers, like some other decks that I enjoy. but this has potential to be a really big game changer in ways that we don't know.
Yeah, the thing is, we only have...
We have like 20.
We have like
At
20
most.
link monsters, and most of them aren't. We don't have the best generic one we have are decent. Like Firewall Dragon is a good card. Firewall Dragon is a
Firewall
ridiculously
Dragon.
good card for what it like for a first round. Compare Firewall Dragon to Odd Eyes Pendulum Dragon when it first came out. Pendulum Dragon was a decent card when it came out, but it's not Firewall Dragon. It's not a card that can loop it. That's basically like a Brionic. Yeah.
What was the name of that synchro? The Lord?
Yeah, it's basically like a DeLorean. Like, yeah, that can bounce anything. It's like Kieran. Like they banned Kieran, but they made a card that does what Kieran does better.
Yeah, but it can be targeted.
Yeah. Yeah, Kieran can't be targeted. Like,
No, Firewall Dragon can.
Yeah, well, not if they have. It can't target it if they have Honeybot or the Stargirl. They don't if they have Honeybot next to it.
We don't worry about that degenerate shit.
Playing against Stargirls, they usually have something dumb next to their Honeybot. They have like something like Honeybot or the I can't remember its name. The Link 2 one that has links left and right of it that can also protect it as well.
Proxy Dragon?
The Priestess you're talking about?
Yeah, Priestess, that one, the girl
okay.
one. Yeah.
I fucking forget
Evangeline.
the Stargirls.
But like, Stargirls are an interesting deck.
Oh,
They
I've been
do a lot of link summoning, spam like crazy, but they just don't do anything is the problem I have with the deck.
Yeah, I mean, I like the deck, but it kind of has that Raid Raptor kind of feel to me that it's very combo oriented. It's very quick, but at the same time, you're not unless you're summoning out. Some of their link monsters are really good, like their Link 4 or 3-1 that you can use that one as an ignister for link monsters, and on top of that, it lets you draw cards.
Yeah, Negrin too.
But the deck has really breakable boards, and like Firewall is the only thing the deck really has going for it. But it's a decent start. But I feel like Stargirls, there's one of those decks where we're probably going to get a second wave of support. They'll probably get a Pot of Avarice. They'll get some cards that allow them to. They'll get better, probably at least a couple more Link monsters in their time. I mean,
I believe they're getting another Star Relic due to one of the cards, so we'll see.
I feel like what they really need is something like a Pot of Avarice. Like from testing the deck, like you have a lot of ways to get cards back from the graveyard. You just don't have a way to cycle back your resources currently. So, but that's going to be interesting to see. But I'm kind of interested in them myself. I actually think I'm really curious though, like what because Gofu's gonna. Because we already know that the list isn't going to change pretty much going into Code of the Duelist from what it is, what we talked about earlier. So we know that Rat will still be at 2. We know that Gofu is still running around at 3. The Plan Engine's still going to be running around. So we're going to have a pretty effective amount of fodder for Link monsters running around for sure. Gofu especially is a card that I'm really surprised is eventually going to be at 1 at some point, but I feel like I'm probably thinking about taking Gofu in just about every link deck post links because it's just that good.
Well, the thing about Gofu, it's kind of weird, but like outside of the first 4 or 5 link monsters revealed, they've been putting all link monsters to not be able to be used with tokens. So Gofu is starting not to be as good as most people are thinking right now.
Yeah, it does let you climb into defense.
It is because
which is
it's just the extra deck space you need for the tokens.
Mm-hmm. Well,
yeah, all you can use.
Yeah. Yeah, the thing
realistically,
the thing about Gofu is that I remember in my regional list, a lot of people told me I shouldn't play Gofu because it was like it would brick after the turn 1. But I remember like that card won me a game, one of my matches, because I top decked a Gofu. I had a Gofu in hand. I top decked a Bumbaku, and I was playing against Melfo Yingxings. And he was poking me, I think, with Silvered and a Suwani. So I top decked the Bunbaku. So I normal the Bunbaku and make Ignister. And I think I popped his Silvered, spun the Suwani, and I ended up going for game. And it was... Gofu is an insanely good card. I feel like it's never really going to be bad, per se. It's just going to be a good card. But that's how I feel about it. But I'm not really sure what I'm going to be maining early on in the Link format. I'm really not sure yet. I mean, I'm going to pick up a lot of the key cards like Decode Talker for sure, but
Dude,
I'm really not sure
when
yet.
in doubt, do like the Corbin does and just Cyberse travel. Sorry, Cyberse.
I'm
actually really excited for all that too.
I'm not excited for Tricksters because I hate that deck already.
No, my friend Logan Pro Media, he loved Trickstars before they were good because he's a waifu hunter. So now he's also a hipster, so he loves them, but he hates that they're good.
Yeah, the weird thing about that deck is that like a lot of people like, I mean, looking at I feel like it's gonna be running around like the troll versions are gonna be running around to the point where you're probably going to have to side for them, whether it's like. Now, granted, if you're playing a deck like DDDs, you have Oracle King. You don't really care. The deck can't do anything if you have Oracle King out. Now, people are like, why? I remember people were saying, oh, you should run Leonidas. I'm like, then you get Reincarnation and you feel bad for playing a bad card. But that kind of like, that's one of the things that I think is going to be really weird early on because we're going to have a lot of strange decks running around for sure.
I think
especially after fucking True King slaughtered.
I'm really not sure what the OCG will kind of be an indicator of what's going to happen because they're going to have a new list fairly soon, probably late June, early July. Usually they have a list like right after their
it's about a month from now.
Yeah, and we'll kind of get an idea of what's going to happen when the deck does get slaughtered, which is it's a matter of time. The deck's going to get hit. Just a matter of time. It's like an if, it's like a when it gets hit, not if. Dinos are also going to get slaughtered. I feel like, at least Overraptor is probably going to go to 1. Overraptor is probably going to go to 1. I think Fossil Dig's also going to get limited. I don't know what else. Maybe the babies also get hit as well. Something's going to happen differently to the deck. I'm not really sure yet.
I don't think Dinos really need to get hit yet, to be honest.
Not yet. I feel like we'll kind of get to see what they do, but I feel like everything the deck does is mostly fair except for 2 cards, which is Tyranno is obnoxiously stupid. The fact that its offensive and defensive effects are just dumb, and the fact that it's like the thing about dinosaurs is unless you stop their VFD, they can lock you down, then OTK you on the following turn.
I feel like if something happens to Diagram, the deck would be a lot more fair.
Yeah, I feel like Diagram was like an ill card design, at least the way I look at Diagram. I feel like it was a pretty ill card design, at least in my opinion. But second battle phase? What? Were we playing under this guy on Dueling Book saying we got a second battle phase?
Wait, I thought we were playing speed duels. Fuck.
I know, right?
I'm gonna be honest. I used to not like speed format, but now I do. It's not because of the anime. It's because I realized it's actually a good teaching tool.
I kind of like my thing was this anything like if I'm gonna start a player, I'm gonna start them with the actual rule set, but I'm gonna start them with how the game actually works because if you don't, like they'll never learn properly. This is the way I look at it. Like I feel like I would start them slow. I'll be like I'll start them learning the monster zones. I'll start them learning everything else. But I feel like I wouldn't want to start them on such a simplified format because they're gonna hop in like, wait, it doesn't work this way. You kind of have to just throw their feet to the fire, and so they can learn. At least that's the way I look at it.
That's fair, but it's like,
this guy just like he's gonna attack into my Spinos, and his Spinos is linked to my Decode Talker.
Fucking awesome.
Like, what's the second attack?
So there was some dumb motherfucker on a Link-related video. I don't remember which one. Thinking that you could like throw a Link 3 to get another Link 3 and just tag out. It's like that's not
Don't make
how
no.
it fucking
That
works.
don't really make any sense
That's
at
not
all.
how the mechanic works.
It's not how it works.
God. Like, I'm kind of scrubby, I'll admit, but damn, at least I understand my mechanics. Frustrating people.
People are like I feel I remember my work manager told me once. He said people. I asked him about something. We were talking about something.
Yes, it's at 28,000.
Yes, it's at 28,000. No.
Should be.
You guys are playing on Dueling Book?
You know, I'm playing on Dueling, but Corbin's probably watching my game while talking. But I'm playing
You
on
wanna
Dueling.
Shut up!
Do you want to
But
play
anyway,
again?
back to the main topic. Like I don't think link summoning's that bad. Like after my initial like couple of reservations about it, most of my decks will function fine. There's a few decks I might have to drop, but I feel like I wasn't really playing those decks anyways. I hadn't really touched Battling Boxers or Heroes in months, and I feel like the decks aren't really that playable anymore anyways. So I mean Heroes were kind of like a deck weird situation where it was like I had all the cards back when I had Toads and Sharks and everything, but I didn't touch the deck. I was just bored with it. But Heroes one of those decks I eventually got tired of playing. But Heroes one of those decks I feel like it was really good, but I would have gotten bored with it if I kept playing it. To be totally honest,
It's linear as all hell. Realistically, it's linear as all hell.
Oh, he's howling. Okay, he's chaining howling.
Sudden question about encode talker.
Yeah.
Okay.
Once per turn before damage calculation, if I'm... Never mind. It has to be U control. I didn't see the U. I'm a dumbass.
Dino Miss. Huh.
Yep, I'm playing on Dueling Book. Yeah, he's playing against Dynamis, and he actually just chained Howling on my turn. So I thought Howling said your scales had to be completely clear. I never actually read that part very carefully. My scales are always clear when I activate it.
So we're both guilty of not rating. At least I'm not alone.
Yeah, but the thing is with Howling is that it doesn't do anything because never mind. I don't have anything linked to Decode Talker right now. Oopsies.
Welp.
I can link something right now. Give me a moment. So Sky Iris effects. I should have activated Pendulum Graph. God damn it! I just realized that.
No, Yu-Gi-Oh! Wiki. That's not a good example.
Yeah, the opportunity goes super plus right now.
I know, and I fucked it up like I always do.
If you have another magician in hand, you could have Oath Dragon.
Yeah, I'm gonna probably Oath Dragon back in a moment. I have Toon in my hand. I really wanted to summon that Toon Magician, but oh well. The only thing was to make sure I had something equipped to Talker in case he tries to howling my thing away. Let's see what to grab back from the extra deck. I think I underestimated Black Fang when I first read the card. Original list I was only playing 2, but the card is just so good. The amount of recursion that it enables. Oh, Odd Eyes Fusion. I remember actually trying to get a hold of Odd Eyes Fusion. I remember it was like a $25 card way back when. I forget how much. It was really expensive when it first came out. But anyway, what else are you guys kind of teching around, playing right now that might be up on YouTube later?
I'm considering an Abyss Actor video right now.
Yeah, I've always wanted to try that deck, but like, how's it work in a more pure build? Because I know like Allure of Darkness and like there's a lot. It's a dark deck, so a little I know about the deck. I know that Rise the Abyss King is really good in the deck.
Pedal Mucho allows your allures to actually become really good in the deck.
Oh yeah, because you can like activate Pelamucho, put it back. That's pretty cool too.
Another few cards, the Supreme King Servant Dragon cards.
Like the gates?
Yay!
No, the extra deck monsters.
Oh, those cards are so good. Yes.
Yeah, especially Starving Venom.
Honestly, I feel like the Rebellion one is obnoxiously good. Underratedly good, honestly. The card.
I mean, all three or all four, sorry, are all crazy good.
The Odd Eyes one is the only one I don't like. Like every one of them, I like them a lot, but that one, the Odd Eyes one, is.
Why is it fucking level 8?
Why? That's what I said when I read the card. I was like, wait, it's level 8. Why, Konami?
I don't think honestly you could be level 7. That would kind of be a little stupid for a lot of decks.
I think there's a reason why they made them all level 8.
Yeah. Because one of its effects is all monsters deal double battle damage or something like that when they attack. So
I feel like the one that gets a bad rap is Serving Venom because some of the plays I can do with that card are pretty obnoxious. Like
you can have 4 Ignisters.
You can have 4 Ignisters. Or I remember I was playing against Brad the other day. He had a JD engraved, so I went Summon Servant, activate JD. It was wonderful.
It's so fucking gross. Oh my god.
Yeah, it was freaking hilarious. That video I've been actually working on. Speaking of watching Dynamis, I was working on a less. One of the things I noticed about Dynamis is a lot of their monsters are just. Let's be honest. Like most of their monsters are ass. Like I hate Stegosaur. Brachion and Ceratops are terrible. I don't like them either.
What'd you talk about, Anthony?
It's only like most of their monsters are terrible, and the only ones I liked were Spinos is really good, or not Spinos, Rex, Ankylos is okay, and what was it Rex Ankylos, and then Petran and Plessia. So I was like, well, one day I woke up, I was like, why not play Performa Pals? They modify attack points. They're really consistent deck, and it ended up flowing really well together.
And they're viable in speed.
What are you guys arguing over?
He thinks that his Rex negates my monster and destroys it. I don't know. It only I think he read the bottom part that says then destroy this card, not destroy that card. It doesn't negate and destroy the monster. He's confused. But I've been trying to get Dynamis Performa Pals to work, and I haven't. But the funny thing is, like all the cards came off the list now, so I have no idea what the list is going to. What is he arguing over? I don't get it.
Anthony, can you do me a solid?
Yes.
Sometime in the next coming weeks, talk to Paul about making Mandy the Mandragora Team APS's official mascot.
Paul ignores a lot of stuff I ask him to do, so I don't know. I'm not even going to. You would be like, I love Paul to pieces. He's helped my channel a lot. But I swear I love Paul, but he does ignore a lot of my messages. So That's not going to happen. I can tell you right now. MSTV.TV actually made his stuff. Forget this. Okay, yeah, me too. I'm done. Like, what is so confusing about that? I'm so lost. But anyway, I think Magicians are one of the few decks I feel like that can Pelham decks that will still be very playable under the new mechanics. Metal Foes I feel like can be really good
would
as
you
well.
like to play?
Because with Metal Foes, like, you can still play Gofu. Gofu's still amazing, but you can also, like, they're all vanillas, so you can make, Gaia Saber, you can make Link Spider, so, like, you can still, like, with Metal Foes, you have a ton of extra deck space anyways, so you could probably play Metal Foes.
Link Spider.
But also, like, with Metal Foes, you also have, with Metal Foes, usually, like, you play, 2 Mithriliums, 1 Alcahest, 1 Aura Hulk, maybe an Adamantite, because you're playing Gofu, and from there, you've got basically 10 open slots from there to fill it up with Link monsters, and play a few insert cards here that work with your deck. Like, Metal Foes are a very, like, flexible engine, so I feel like you could still find a way to make them work even in a Link format. Heck, I still think you could play Mist Valley Apex Avian as well. It's a pretty good card. But that's probably one of the cards I feel like I'm going to be playing in a lot of my Pelham decks, because I just like it because you can Pelham summon it out and it returns itself back to the hand, so like you still have a thing to play. But I don't know. I feel like
look at this guy playing 40.
42 cards. Yes, 42 cards. I didn't have enough room. The deck is actually like, this is the old build with like 1 Pendulum Call, but it's with this many cards, it's surprisingly consistent. I'd probably bump it down to 40, maybe cut the Rescue Hamsters out because I like them, but they don't. The card tends to conflict with Joker a lot, so I don't know if I'll be playing it going forward with Joker going to 3, but Hamsters are amazingly good card in Link format for Pendulum decks. If you're playing something like Dynamists, or its Pendulum effect's really good too, because if you have like, if you're getting late game, you have multiples of like say Black Fang or whatever in your extra deck, you can just banish Rescue Hamster and then add it right back. It can get you right back in the game. But I'm not positive on the card yet. I feel like it's been good for me when I actually do use its effect, but I don't know yet on it. It's not as good as it's Buddy Rescue Rabbit. But
probably 1, like 2 on the side.
Yeah, I'm not sure on it yet. I was actually thinking about a card. I was actually thinking about siding for. Let me pull it up. This was actually a card I had like picked up ages ago called Pendulum Impenetrable. It came out in, what was it, World Superstars, I think. And what I like about it is it's if you're unfamiliar with what it does, it's a quick play spell card. You activate it and it prevents cards in your Pendulum Zone from being destroyed by your opponent's cards in Pendulum Zone. Can't be popped by your opponent's card effects, and they also can't. Anything that targets a card in the Pendulum Zone is negated for the entire turn. So I like it because it's like,
I used to play Van Cleef.
Yeah, it's basically like what Clive's End does, but the cool thing about it is you can use it offensively and defensively, because say your opponent, you're playing in the Pendulum Magician Mirror, and your opponent activates their Wisdom Eye. Well, you flip this on them, they can't activate that effect because they're activating an effect that would pop their scales. So it's kind of like a magical, kind of like a less good magical spring, because it can lock your opponent out of their Pendulum scales if they don't have the proper scale set up. And it also prevents them from activating effects that target cards in the Pendulum Zone. So if they try to use something like Meteor Burst Dragon or something that targets something in the Pendulum Zone, it negates it. But you can also use it to negate Twin Twisters, Cosmic Cyclone, the numerous removals this card deals with it. And you can search it with Duelist Alliance. So I don't really see... If I'm playing a Pendulum deck, I'll definitely be siding this card, because I feel like it counters like I'd say about 80% of the cards you're going to be dealing with as a Pendulum player. The only cards it doesn't deal with is Barrier and Strike, but that's why Denko is a card. At least that's how I feel about it. Any other interesting tech cards y'all have for the upcoming formats?
Honestly, no. I generally don't do anything super techy.
Okay.
Ironic coming from an IT guy.
So you're not that guy teching a Kinkabillo in your DDD deck.
Yeah, no, I'm not that guy.
You're not ale. You're teching kick. So that's like half the fun I have with Yu-Gi-Oh is like finding fun tech cards to put in my decks and figure out what works.
Well, if I find a tech, I like to find it in the archetype. Or in the monster type, or something.
See, that's my problem is like with deck building is that I don't like DDDs are one of the few decks I have that is like just pure deck that works by itself. It doesn't have a lot of outside junk in it. Every other deck I have is some kind of generic, like even the Dark Magician deck that's sitting next to me has like, Silent Magician, Toko Magician Girl is in there. It's like generic spellcaster shit is in there. And that's my problem with deck building is I'm not like a purist when it comes. So when I build a deck, typically it's not built with just the archetype in mind. I don't know if that's a good or bad thing. I think it's good, but that's just me.
It's honestly a good thing because I limit myself just by the way I think. But Pendulum Storm is really good in Raging Rebellion Turbo.
I see. I forget about that card. I mean,
no, it's like if you have that in an amazing, you have any Pendulum Magician.
And it's
get rid of the ones you have in your scales. You destroy something your opponent controls back row. You get them back. You get the ones you want back. Then you have an extra deck loaded to go.
Man,
that's the play.
It's not about it's one of those cards you could just play tech in a copy because it's searchable. You could just because you're not with Pendulum Call at 3, you're not going to need to search it quite as often as you would before. Not saying you would play 3, you'd probably play 2. Even with it 3, I don't know if unless I'm playing a really high like a 45 card count variant, I don't know if I could justify playing 3, just because I feel like I know I would draw it at multiples. I swear, I play Pot of Desires, I draw 2 all the time, and I only play 2 copies. And I get salty every time I see 2 of them in my hand.
I see a cute anime girl.
What?
Nothing. He's like, nothing. You saw nothing.
I see everything.
I see everything. I can't do those funny voices.
No, you're just saying lollies.
I know. When I was trying to do the Ignister thing in one of my videos, I listened back to it. I was like, that sounds ass. I did the whole Ignister thing when I called the card, and it just did not sound right. I'm just like,
I mean, does it really sound right from anyone?
No. Maybe Lithium.
Realistically.
Except the guy who does it. No. No. Ignister never sounds right.
Oh, you did a ban list video.
Yes, I did.
Sorry, I just subbed to you.
Oh. Let me see if I can add. I think Daedric said he could join for a bit, so we'll have some more.
Wait, is that the guy I'm gonna fight?
No. This is another guy. He's a buddy from the podcast shoot that one of the ones I can never get in here. Add. Remember this?
Rad.
Add. Okay.
Well, I'm gonna go make some fucking chicken fries. I'll be back in a few minutes. Ignister.
There we go.
You're welcome. I'll be back.
No one can do it right. We'll probably stream a little bit longer because it's getting a little late, but it doesn't matter. The worst, I think this is the worst part, is that Drew has made me act when I talk to people, I actually use some of his memes in conversation. I don't know if that's a good or bad thing, but it helps. Sometimes I'm like,
okay, there we go.
I was making some of the newbies laugh at my locals because some of the memes I came up with. One of them was, "It's all fun and games until someone flips a dimensional barrier on you."
That's not a meme. That's just the truth.
The other one was, the other one I came up with was, "We need an exterminator in here. There's too many rats running around." That's the truth, though.
It is.
You don't meme. You just speak reality. What the hell, man?
All memes are ideas that spread. Ideas that spread are often true ones.
Speaking of which, DaedricSheep's
What?
finally gotten on.
Sorry,
But anyway,
I just got home.
Yeah, I know. Like, I understand, but like, that's the like I remember when I was at work, like bagging someone's groceries, and my bags were all ripping on me, so I just screamed out. I didn't scream it out. I was like, "Damn, these bags suck." Lady just stares at me like I've committed a cardinal crime, and I say to her, I say this a lot. It's like, ma'am, I feel like honesty is the best form of disinfectant, and it's true.
Have you guys ever had a box of
A box of
trash bags where 60% of the trash bags have no bottom?
This
No.
is why you don't buy cheap trash bags, bruh.
They weren't even like super cheap, like mid-range.
The only trash bags you buy are like
That sounds like a
hefty
you
force
problem.
bags.
But it's like, why?
One might call them trash.
Exactly, they're trash.
And this is
Trash.
where you put your ghost tricks.
Trash like everything
Like,
that's
read
not
my
suited
deck
to
on
format.
Am I coming through all right? I don't know how good this like onboard mic is.
Yes, you're sounding fine. You're not gonna sound. I mean, I don't expect you to sound like as good as everyone in here. I mean, it's not everyone. I know not everyone has like $100 mic.
I'm
You're
literally using the
doing
mic in
fine.
this laptop that I get from school.
It seems better than mine. Well, it seems better than my original laptop one. I have like when I got my first ad revenue. Phantom, are you here?
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, welcome in. But anyway,
You just realized this? I said there was a cute anime girl.
Oh, hi.
Dude, what the fuck?
Hey, Phantom. How are you?
Tired.
I know I'm tired too, but But at least I don't have to be at work at 7 in the morning tomorrow. But anyway,
I have to be at school in 7.
Oh shit! When do I work tomorrow? I work
Fuck,
at.
when
Oh,
do
I
I
don't
work
work till
tomorrow?
3.
we all probably hey, at least you probably I don't know about you guys, but at least you don't have to listen to customers thinking you got the intelligence of a 12-year-old all the time.
No, I get that from my coworkers plenty.
That's my
Well, I admit,
I got talked to from my boss because we got like I work at Kohl's, so we sell our Kohl's charge cards, or we advertise them, and I got talked to from my boss for not getting anybody signed up, and in 3 days I get 3 signed up right after she talks to me. I'm like, great, thanks, because it's basically entirely luck.
Well, that's one of the things
Fucking
at my
annoying.
work. We have like this. What's it called? We have these things where we sell like right now we're doing this thing for the Texas Children's Miracle Network, whatever. Basically, like kids with deadly diseases, right? So like
Yeah, chronic.
yeah, our manager wants us to sell them sell a certain amount every day, and it's really competitive. Like
Where do you work?
Kroger's. Well, it's Kroger, but I don't know why people say
Oh,
Kroger's.
okay.
It's not that
Dude,
bad.
I fucking love Kroger.
Well, you wouldn't like the pay. Let's just put it that way. It's not very good.
Well, the
but-
pay is more based on where you live, and minimum wage in Texas is almost. I think it's just as bad as it is here in Wisconsin. It's the federal minimum, isn't it?
This federal. I know we weren't when I started. I wasn't making the minimum, but I was still at like $7.65 when I started, and I'm on like $8 now.
Oh, that's not the worst thing in the world. God, I can't wait for school to start up so I can get a new job because minimum wage in Minnesota, where I go to school, is like, I think it's changing to like $10 soon.
Yeah, I feel.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
guess
I mean, well, the thing is, a lot of the places I've been, a lot of the other places like I could be working would make more money, but it's not like I'm comfortable there. It's fine, and it's not too bad.
Yeah, living situation in Texas like isn't like the most expensive in the world.
No, I mean,
I know my friend lives in Texas and she's renting a really, really, really nice place for like $1,000 a month.
yeah, you can.
And she could downgrade pretty easily for like to somewhere more manageable.
Yeah,
if she needs.
It's a pretty nice. It's in terms of like what you can actually like reasonably the cost of living down. The reason like I haven't looked at the numbers, but like a real estate. I had one of my regulars who comes in all the time is like a real estate agent. She said the numbers are really high for like how many people move to Texas like every day. It's like a ridiculously high number. How many people just move to the state all the time? And I mean, from where we moved here, we had to go to the freeway to go get groceries, which was like takes us like 20-30 minutes, and then but now it's like within like walking distance almost, and now we can pretty much do everything close now, which is nice.
Damn.
But it's really like this whole area is where I live's built up in a long time, but I don't think it's too bad.
I live 30 minutes from
Everything.
literally everything. My IT job is 35 minutes away. My restaurant is 40 minutes away. The nearest Walmart is 25 minutes away.
Jesus.
It's terrible.
Are you living underground?
Might as well be.
Yeah, exactly. What the fuck is a rock?
I'm living the rock underneath the rock.
Wait, sheep, by the way. I apologize for being so combative. I am just combative by nature.
Don't worry, I'll probably end up giving you a lot of sass too.
Yes.
Fight me!
Where's your sass, Phantom? Where are you at?
I don't know, my sass is hidden away.
Who's this? Who's this GrandLamb nerd?
Oh yeah, he's from the other Discord. Say hi, everyone, Lamb.
Wait, who said that?
It's like I'm here.
I just haven't heard you say anything, so I just thought it was funny.
Sorry, you just reminded me of my roommate's voice. So
Oh, sorry.
He croaked.
Rip.
I mean, granted, like in my state, the cool thing is like there are actually websites nowadays you can find good roommates with too.
Oh no, did that? Oh no.
There's actually a website online where you can actually, there's a website you can actually like learn roommates and kind of get an idea of okay, how much is this gonna cost? You know, you can actually meet like it's makes things a lot easier nowadays than like having to meet someone and find a roommate. You know, it's the way things are nowadays. Everything's online.
You don't remind me. I just realized. Oh god, I had a single in my dorm last year, and I wasn't able to re-sign up for it. And so I'm gonna have a roommate next year, and I've had really good luck with roommates, and I'm afraid it's gonna run out. Like I've had like the two roommates I've had so far in college have been really nice because they don't do anything or say anything. One of them was just never there, and the other one was always there, but only ever talked when he was Skyping his girlfriend. And I'm just afraid that my luck has run out.
I never really
have faith in the heart of the roommate.
Heart of the roommate.
I gotta draw well.
Part of the dorms.
Exactly. That is literally what you have to do.
My thing is, luckily, like I went to when I got my associate's degree, I went to community college, so I could go from home. Because in Texas,
that's what I'm doing right now.
Because in Texas, you have something called Lone Star, which if you're guys don't live in Texas or unfamiliar, basically, like you go to school, it's about $800 a semester plus the cost of books, which isn't bad. It's about
No, that's definitely not bad.
It's not bad at all. Yeah, like the books are still really.
That's like tuition.
The tuition for the class, if you take 4 classes, it's like $800 a semester, and then you have like your books are still really expensive, but it's not bad.
When your books are only a quarter, like when your books total up to like half your tuition, that's still not the worst thing in the world. My tuition right now, I'm getting almost all of my tuition is coming through from government loans. And then what my family has managed to save up for me, and I am so beyond thankful for that. I might be able to get out without private loans, but I still have no idea because
that's the thing. Is like
I'm going to a state university.
That was my thing. Was that I
4 years.
I don't want to take out loans. Like I'm like deathly afraid of ever taking out a loan.
Wait, where in Minnesota are you going?
Winona State.
Hey, I have friends going up there.
I really like it there. It's just, God, money. I got shorted like $5,000 tuition for this for this upcoming year, and so like I'm not doing any Yu-Gi-Oh stuff this summer, which I was really looking forward to. Also, Pokemon. I got into Pokemon over the last year. Pokemon's fun.
Yeah, I remember for me, like I usually can clock in about 250, 260 a week. So typically, like once the rent payments I do are gone, because I still live at home. When the rent payments are done, when my phone bill's taken care of, got money to spend for Yugimon, so it's helpful. But I understand for someone like I was a college student at one point, so I understand like that not having money feeling. I sold review sheets to pay for my first regional. I've been there.
Sold review sheets?
I did.
What's that? Like just review sheets? I don't know the term.
My professor at the time was doing would do online review sheets. What I would do was I would finish the review sheet like 2 weeks in advance. It'd be done. So it would print them off in the college, and then take.
Oh, so you were basically just doing other people's schoolwork.
Essentially, and my professor, I was worried I was going to get in trouble, and she was like, "You aren't paying him enough." I'm like, raising my hands. I'm like, okay.
God.
I'm like, this is.
I wonder what my dad would do if he found out his students were doing that, but that would require him to actually like hand out like test prep.
My dad's a professor, and
this was
his class,
entertaining.
he's got an interesting way of teaching his classes. He actually makes people learn.
Yeah, but Stu was a cool professor.
Thankfully, though, like in Minnesota, like I think the minimum wage right now is like $9.50.
Yeah, and it's going up to 10 like in a couple of years.
Yeah, so it's pretty easy to get a decent amount of money, but tuition here tends to be kind of pricier. I've learned.
Yeah, because what was it? I think in-state tuition for Winona State is like $1,600. I think.
Yeah, and like St.
That's
John.
No?
not bad,
Am I
actually,
wrong?
for-
68,000.
I'm being corrected from the other room. What is it? You can't just tell me I'm wrong and leave. God damn it.
But
I
like,
relate
it's
to
not
that
bad for an
statement,
actual university, though. It's like not that much more than Lone Star.
Oh. Wait, no, we pay in-state tuition. What are you talking about?
What you talking about, Willis?
I know. I said
I actually say that phrase to one of my managers all the time.
I'm sorry, I should have
He'll
muted
be
my
like,
mic.
We'll be backed up we have like 3 people in line. I'll be like, we don't need 1 + 1. I'm like, what you talking about, Willis? We got 5 people in line.
Are we doing this podcast or no? What's going on?
Yeah, we're kind of
We're in
just
it right
rambling
now.
off of random stuff right now. Honestly.
Oh, I
Well-
hadn't gathered.
Okay. But fandom, what do you think about the ban list? I hadn't gotten to you yet.
Basically, I feel like this is the cards that were put on there should have been put on there in the first place in the last one.
I agree.
Yeah, it does fix problems that just were missed 100%.
It still doesn't fix Zodiac, but Zodiac's too disgustingly designed to where it just won't die. It's like Teller Knights to an extent.
Well, I mean, like, in order to quote-unquote fix Zodiacs, you essentially kill Zodiacs.
I mean,
Yeah, basically, you give them Dragon Ruler treatment.
you compare to them to like Pepe. I actually did like I was looking at the ban list. Let me pull up the ban list right now, actually, and you analyze the cards that were hit because that deck was a deck. It's literally like 9 cards are on the ban list because of that deck. Like looking at it right now, you have where is it? Monkey Board, Damage Juggler, Plush Fire, and Monkey Board are banned. Ptolemaeus is banned. That's 4 cards right there. And then you have Wavering Eyes banned because a lot of Wavering Eyes when Wavering Eyes was legal. I literally remember every time I resolved that card, it won me the game every time. It was a disgustingly designed card, and it would have been banned eventually anyways. But Wavering Eyes was definitely hit because of that deck. So it's like 5.
I just always found it funny because there were so many pendulum decks in my locals. So, like, everyone had their play set of Wavering Eyes. And so you never wanted to activate yours first. You never, ever wanted to do it. But you knew if they activated theirs first, it's because they had 2 in hand.
And the worst part was, like, it made it the mirror matches so, like, skillful but awkward at the same time. Is that you had to prepare if they had a Damage Juggler in hand. It's sort of the way I always compare Ghost Ash. Like, Ash Blossom kind of creates this interaction where if you think your opponent has Ash Blossom and you know they have it, you have to kind of carefully play before you activate your Pot of Desires or whatever draw cards you happen to have in your hand, because Ash Blossom can only negate 1 card, and you're going to bait it out eventually.
Place Pot of Desires when Ash Blossom is legal. Good idea.
Great idea if you're playing a deck that's Like the card will always be good, honestly. I know Phantom kind of has is one of the mindset though, where I think he's talked about it, where it's like he plays the card, but he doesn't knows why the card is good, but he doesn't really play it in any decks.
Yeah, that's generally my mindset, mostly because I can't afford Desires. But right now, Desires is kind of a sketchy option.
You pumped for the
I got
ultra
mine,
rare reprint?
but I got my 2, but it cost me most of the good pulls for my box of Raging Tempest, so it wasn't
No.
exactly easy.
Listen, I like how hand traps are. I like the concept of them. Obviously, they can be toxic as fuck sometimes, especially when they're like just overpowered, like Ash Blossom is or whatever it's called. But I like the fact that people are playing Gamma as a hand trap right now, just because it creates this interesting situation where, like, if you think they're playing it, you have to wait to use any of your hand traps or any of your stuff really until they have a monster on board. But there is literally no way to tell if they're playing it. So you have to
And it's
already know
also-
by that point you've already walked into it.
Yeah, and
Which
I remember
I don't know why I find that as entertaining as I do.
the invoked player that I played at my last regional was actually main decking Gammas, and it's pretty good because Gamma and Driver are light monsters, so you can banish them for the cost of Mechaba. And people were talking about actually talking about siding it in DVDs.
But wouldn't you want to just synchro anyway?
Well, I don't know what the point of the game we were in. I think he already had a monster online and he dead drawn it, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, so if it's still in your hand, okay.
Yeah,
gotcha.
you can use it for Makaba's, or if it's in the grave. But people were talking about siding it in the DDD group that I admin. People were talking about it, and it's pretty good because it can negate Ash Blossom or Ghost Ogre from stopping your stuff.
Well, kind of. It can't stop if it's on a monster, just because Gamma is only able to work if you have no monsters.
Yeah, that's the only problem with it. And the problem with certain decks, if you're playing something like, for example, DDDs, you probably have to side out your Pot of Desires, which, again, that's like your best card in your deck, so you're not having to side it out.
You could be the poor unfortunate soul at my locals one time when draws 3 Ash Blossoms.
Oh, I had a guy at my opponent at my locals draw 3 of his D barriers. That's why I sold mine, but that's why I only played 2. Part of it is I didn't want to drop $60 on $180 on a playset.
Yeah, I better see those.
Oh man, speaking of DVDs, there was this one kid at my locals, and he was a fun kid, but he had the DVD structure deck, but literally nothing else. So he geared it to be a Pendulum OTK deck, which was weird looking at for DVDs, but just it kind of disturbingly worked.
It can.
Huh?
He snuck a game on me with it, which was hilarious. I wanted
Gusto
him to
snuck
kill
a
me
game
with
on
it.
me.
He was wonderful.
Gusto snuck a game on me at locals once.
Oh my.
Well, I was playing Full Power Magicians at the time. This was with one Wisdom Eye, but this was like my janky dark build. The dark build, it was like Dark Pepe, but with the Magician engine. It was one of the weirdest concoctions I could ever come up with. And he snuck a game on me with the Spheres Loop. It's one of that is one of the worst ways to lose in Yu-Gi-Oh. Lose to the Spheres Loop. But anyway,
Well, I did that all the time.
Back to the ban list. Terror Top going to 1. I'm gonna miss Terror Top. I'm not gonna lie. I love Terror Top.
My friend was trying to tell me that Orphis Scorpio just completely replaces Terror Top, and Terror Top didn't even be hit anymore. And I don't think he understands just how free Terror Top is.
Yeah, he doesn't. The problem is with Scorpio is that think about what happens if your Scorpio gets, say, if you say it gets Effect Veilered, even your whole turn is over. If you're playing Zoo, you have to have Barrage or some really other combo piece. Otherwise, your entire turn is over. If they strike your Scorpio, if they Ash Blossom it, if they Veiler it, or whatever.
Because it wastes your normal summon, and you have to discard. So you have to discard a monster to be exact. And he was trying to say True Kings can still run it, but you run a really low monster count in True Kings, and you don't want to be pitching any of them.
I can't see myself running it even, if I look at True King Yang Zings, for example, the Copernicus DDD engine would be superior anyways. I can't see I could see myself running it in, a hero deck that would play Brilliant Fusion, but outside of that, I don't really see It doesn't replace what Terror Top does at all, if I'm completely honest.
I mean, it does kind of replace it. It's still much. It's still almost as usable. You just have more to commit with it, and if you stop it, you really can stop it.
And then,
But like, how much are you going? What are you going to be able to do to stop a normal summon?
Yeah, and the other thing is that, well, if you're playing some kind of pendulum-based deck, you don't really use your normal summon all that much. So you could definitely justify Scorpio in a pendulum-based deck because you have the normal summon. You typically, like Metal Foes, for example, you could probably justify the space because you have the room. But anyway, like
I think in Metal Foes, people are running Tour Guide, aren't they?
they're playing a Balbavoon, I think right now.
Oh, that's right. That's right. That's the thing. So, they were running Tour Guide beforehand sometimes, but not that often.
Yeah, you can fit into Metal Foes because you're already playing Lone Fire Blossom anyways.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not the worst thing in the world. Like most Metal Foe variants I've seen played both cards. Anyway, the other hit on the list is that ass looks greener, aka that grass. Very odd hit to me.
You know, I would never have guessed what card you meant.
That grass is greener, and I'm the lawnmower. But anyway, weird thing about this card is it's limited, and I've legitimately never had it activated on me.
I'm crying a little bit internally because I had a friend who was going to buy my Infernoid deck from me. He got, I think, 11th place at a regionals we went to 2 weeks ago. And I never go to regionals, so it was a really fun experience. But he was going to buy Infernoids off of me because he borrowed it and meshed it with his zoo stuff, and he got 11th place. And now that's just not going to happen. So there's like $130 I'm not getting.
Ouchies. Yeah, I felt the same way when I sold my barriers because I remember paying up for them and then moving them for like at least it wasn't half the price, but it definitely I know those fields for sure. But it being limited is probably something that I feel like this is kind of a preemptive hit from Konami because it's not a card I feel like we want hanging around going into Link format, and it creates a lot of really awkward interactions. It creates what I would call bad deck building.
I don't know. It's one of those things where some 60 card decks now don't even play that grass. Honestly, that grass, how I see it, it changed a lot of playing mentality. Because it removed this fear of 60 card decks. Obviously, playing 40 in most cases is the best way to go because consistency. But it just removed this fear we have of it, of going above and beyond. Because you can be rewarded for having, an inconsistent deck in some cases. Like, what was it? This one that I still keep bringing up today. There was a Yang Zing Zephyr deck with a small Dino engine that I think it got top 8 recently. I think it was at a YCS. But it was a really interesting deck to look at just conceptually because it's got so many really good engines, but it's not that typical 40 card. But it doesn't play that grass.
But the thing with Zephyros is that the way they run is that they run better with higher card counts because there's so many different cards you need to play to make Zephyros function. Like I remember I talked to Ale about her Zephyr deck because she's been doing the deck much longer than I have, and she explained you basically have to play in her videos. She talks about it. She said in the little blurb at the bottom, she said that you have to play more cards with Zephyros, otherwise they don't function properly. So. But that grass I feel like you can still play higher card count decks, and I feel like that's something, but that grass kind of encouraged that gameplay, and there were a lot of really dumb interactions with the card, and limiting it doesn't really make a ton of sense to me, especially considering...
You would rather just see it banned?
Yeah, I feel like it's one of those cards that should just be at 0 banned, or it should be at 3. It's kind of like with Wavering Eyes. With Wavering Eyes, in the OCG, it's actually at 1. But here it's banned. And
is
I feel
it?
like it's the
really?
Same thing. Yeah, the OCG has 1 copy of Wavering Eyes.
Why do they have such fun lists?
The weird thing about the OCG format is that they move from a tier 0 list to tier 0 list because the way their sets work, they have to hit decks in order to sell the next set, correct? So that's why you see such drastic hits on their list. Their product doesn't quite move as well as it does over in the TCG, so that's why you see such drastic changes in their lists every time. There's very few times where
that makes sense.
You don't see but anyway, pretty much the Pendulum Magician's coming completely off the ban list pretty much. honestly, this is probably the strongest Pendulums have been since Pepe came out. Like, the only really card that's still on the list is Luster.
Damage Juggler, Monkey Board.
Like, it's literally just Monkey Board, Luster, and Draco Face Off are still on the list, but everything else is off the list.
Yeah, but they're one, and they're still like, honestly, I wouldn't even use it in some cases.
Well,
Draco Face Off isn't that great,
in the case
especially if it's only at one, and Luster is just kind of a nice thing to have, but it can honestly just clog your hand.
Well, with Luster, like, you play it because Duelist Alliance searches it, and it lets you access Ignister pretty efficiently.
True.
In the case of Face Off, you have to be playing a very specific deck to make it function. And a lot of players, like Vector Pendulum and Lector Pendulum, aren't really that good anymore. So it's like you're having to play a lot
Vector would have been all right last format because so many Metal Foe decks. But yeah.
It's just Vector's just so like, but these cards coming off the list definitely help Pendulum Magicians, and with the new support coming out, the deck is going to be insanely good. But the problem it has is that there's so many floodgates that just stop Pendulums from playing for the entire turn. You have Anti-Fun Fragrance, you have Solemn Strike, you have Dimensional Barrier, you have Unending Nightmare that just came out in the last set. Yes, Pendulum Call protects from some of those cards, but most Pendulum Magicians, unless they're playing like non-Pendulum monster engines like Avian, really have no efficient way to deal with Dimensional Barrier. Most of the time when my opponent flips Dimensional Barrier on me playing Pendulum Magicians, I just don't have a follow-up play for the rest of the turn.
Oh god! Just a quick thing about Dimensional Barrier that you might find funny. My little brother, I gave him my Blackluster Soldier deck, and it's the version that like just wants to spam out the vanilla, because I haven't updated it for the new support that came out a couple sets ago. And he was like, he drew really well, and the guy he was up against drew really, really poorly. But he did have a Dimensional Barrier, so it was the first and only time he has ever called Ritual with Dimensional Barrier, and it's got to be at least a little bit satisfying to say that he's done that.
Yeah,
it's like Solemn Warning on a Macrocosmos. It's just nice to say you've done it.
I've never flipped. I've never called Ritual. Like, I don't have my barriers anymore, but when I legitimately don't think I ever called Rituals with the card. I called Fusion several times against the Invoked player. I called Exceeds a lot, but I don't really think I called Rituals ever with the card.
Because, like, what deck are you actually going to call it against?
Like
Herald of Perfection Turbo, maybe.
Herald doesn't pop up at my locals that much, like it did when the deck first came out. I mean, I still like the deck, but it's just it has too many. Like it's the same thing with DDDs, except worse because you're having to play a deck that requires 3 pieces to put anything on the board.
Yeah.
I mean, I like
my friend damn near quit the game when he got trashed by a DDD deck. A couple weeks ago, and then he just decided, fuck it, I'm spending the money, and he's just getting everything for True Draco Zoo.
The thing about DDDs is that, like, if you're unprepared and you're unfamiliar with what 90% of the cards do, which most players
He was not unfamiliar. He made that deck for years. I'm not even joking. When it started coming out, he had all of the shit.
Well, the thing is,
that's why he was so mad.
I still remember a guy at my locals got beat with Fluffles, and he quit the game for a few months.
But Fluffles is so nice. Like, how can you be mad against getting beat by Fluffles?
Well, it's kind of Fluffles are one of those decks you can't like. It's weird because it's so cute, but it makes people salty when you beat them with it.
But like, you can't even fault a deck. It's just well designed. It's not unfair. It's just well designed.
Yeah.
Saber's Tiger is kind of unfair to.
Yeah, but Saber.
Maybe you can stop it by the time they get to Tiger. Like, there's counterplay to it.
Like, if you can stop the Masterpiece from hitting.
Flip a D barrier. Fuck yourself.
That's how I feel in a barrier. That's how I had that feeling playing DDDs when someone flipped a barrier on me calling Fusion. I'm just like, guess I'm not playing this turn. Because I don't play, like, the thing about DDDs is, yeah, you can synchro and exceed summon, but if they stop your fusion, you need your fusion plays to climb into the, how to explain, you need the fusion.
Your best monsters are fusion monsters.
Yeah, you need the fusions to climb into the synchros and then bring out the exceeds. Like, in order to get the good cards out, you have to fusion first. But I still have funny memories of the regional moment. A guy actually a guy actually what was it? A guy actually made flare metal on me while I had Oracle out.
Oh my god! Oh no!
This is against Mermails, and this is round 2. I had just won round 1, so I'm going into round 2. Or I'd lost round 2, so I'm going to round 3, and I'm playing Mermails, and I'm completely unprepared for the matchup because I don't know what to side in. So game 2.
You can't side against Mermails. You just can't.
So game 2, he starts his combo, and I drop my first max C, and he lets me draw like 6 cards.
Oh Jesus!
And I had like 8 cards in my hand. He drops me in Glacia, and I'm just like, I'm not even mad. And one of those 6 cards he gave me was my second max C.
Oh.
And so I proceed to combo and break his board. And then like the end of the board ends Cal, and he makes the flare metal, and I'm like, dude, I have Oracle out. He's like, oh fuck. He just gave this like, I know I lost looked. And I remember I was after that round. I was like, yeah, Max C's a stupid card. It probably shouldn't be a 2.
It's weird having it at 1. It really is.
You don't.
Because honestly, sometimes I just forget that I'm playing it.
Yeah, I do not. Like, it's like I remember when I used to play Thunder King, when Thunder King was limited, I would just forget I had the card in my deck. It was great when I drew it against like Mermails and other decks at the time that like Geargia that liked to search, but like I almost would forget it was in my deck because it was at 1. You don't see it that much. Like, yeah, you can nowadays, like Thunder King's at 2, you can search it with Bro Hunter, but who's playing Bro Hunter? Let's be real.
Bro Hunter is best hunter.
No. Thunder King is a card that kind of interesting now. Like, I remember looking at the OCG Magician list, actually playing it. It's a card I'm thinking about. With all the searching running around, it seems like it might be pretty good.
I mean, to be honest, like, the Ulta Kanahawk Limited, like, half the time I don't even make it anymore.
That's just sad.
Well, what do you do? Like, if you're playing Ritual Beasts?
Yeah. I just kind of beat them over with Winda, and they never really see it coming.
I don't know. I'm playing Wind Witch Ritual Beasts right now, and that's like my main thing.
I'm playing that too.
Send me a link. I've got to dip out actually. Before you head out, send me a link with your build. I'd love to take a look at it because I have no idea what I'm doing. I feel like I'm doing something wrong. But I've got to go. I'm going to a movie. Thank you so much for having me. I'll dip out.
Yeah, we'll probably do this again sometime. We're almost done. So anyway, guys, about comes the end of our little podcast tonight. I hope you guys enjoyed our little random rambles. So I'm going to be working on the updated Magician list, and sometime soon I should also have the Dark Magician list. It's actually sitting on my desk, but I'm waiting for one more card. So anyway, guys, always like thank you guys for watching. It's Orstorm signing out.